and our pace car. But once again, thanks for joining us. A little delayed start. Day number 2 here at the 2023 edition, the 17th edition of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. So there goes our Don Thornton Automotive Group pace car. I believe it's the Jaguar we're going to kick it off with on race number 1. Here comes our lead moto. So as you watch that peloton, a little muted white knuckle descent. As they finish up lap number 1, you're going to have Cintier Racing, local team, also Team Topeka up at the second wheel. That would have been Doc Siemens. So 2 Tulsans early on here. This field stretched out. Early on, gaps opening up because of a little bit of the moisture you're going to have out here on the course. So definitely a little caution on that first downhill descent. The white knuckle downhill that leads you onto that final turn just next to the old Lady Brady, now renamed the Tulsa Theater. 1 lap down. As we said, 30-minute race here, give or take. Give or take. So what we'll do is we'll be counting the clock up before we count the laps down. So if you're down here and you're looking at the finish line, you're going, wait, I thought this was a lap race, it's time. What are we doing here? Well, you got to establish your pace. Establish what the average lap time is, and based off of that, we will figure out how many laps that we're going to have the racers race based on the average time. So right now, as you look, it'll be counting the clock up, and then eventually we'll have that lap counter on the right side of our finish line truss start counting the laps down. So we got our audio set up here. Video eventually will get on up. Actually, we do have the big Jumbotron set up, so we should have the live feed out across the World Wide Web. The technological changes compared to 2006, the first edition of Tulsa Tough. We mentioned 17 editions. Took us 18 years to get there. Obviously, a lot of stuff put on hold in 2020, but here we are. The 2023 edition. So we'll look. Here comes the peloton as they get ready to make their way on down. Long, thin line. Some gaps starting to open up, and there'll be Cintier up in the front, as well as rider number 745. That's last year's winner, Paul Hesselgrave, setting in second wheel, but that will be a local hero from Cintier. So 2 laps down here, about 4 minutes in. Once again, always like to take opportunity to say thank you to all our sponsors. St. Francis Health System has been the main one over the years. You look down through McElroy Manufacturing, the William K. Warren Foundation, Quick Trip, Fat Tire, Vast Bank. You see the big Vast building downtown here. Some of the changes to the Tulsa skyline in the 17 years of Tulsa Tough. Also, thank you to Research, James and Susanna Adelson Family Foundation, Nadell and Gusman, Roxtech. We'll be talking about all of these sponsors all day long. It's the thank you once again to, it's the volunteers, it's the sponsors, it's the friends and family supporting these racers, the weekend warriors to the professionals. Takes a village, and it is quite the village we've had for all these years. But here we are, still early on here. Opening race of day number 2. Masters Men's B. Like I said, 100 racers here in that top, in this group, but already getting it spread out here. Probably not 100 racers that actually towed the line. Some of the weather may have scared some off. And once again, we are going to have the Lexus. It's the Don Thornton Automotive Lexus space car coming on through, but now we're going to show laps. So we were counting the clock up, 5:39 in, but now we're going to count the laps down. 10 to go, 10 to go, 10 to go. There's Hesselgrave, last year's winner, setting in first. Second wheel is going to be Clay Hobson, racing out of Texas. Todd Swain, who was Cintier, had been in that first wheel, previous lap. So 10 to go, 10 to go, 10 to go. So as we said, we'll have truncated races here, and actually going to have 2 preems. So if you're wondering what a preem is, it's a race within a race. We'll ring a bell, and it won't be the final bell. We'll be handing out cash. So when we have a preem lap, we will have the bell rung, and we're going to do it next time through. When they come through, we're going to ring the bell, and it's going to be a $100 cash preem lap, courtesy of Bicycles of Tulsa. So once again, year after year after year, you're going to hear us talk about Bicycles of Tulsa. You're going to hear Smith Farm and Garden. Once again, the sponsors that help make these cash preems possible. And right now, the first one of day number 2 will be $100 in cash, courtesy of Bicycles of Tulsa. Of course, St. Francis Health System, our title sponsor here every year, but our presenting sponsors. We already talked about some of those. Aon, Don Thornton Automotive, also a pace car sponsor. We already talked about Tulsa For You, Tulsa Bone and Joint. It's a long list. You got the Century level sponsors, the Peloton sponsors, the partner sponsors, and of course you have your own special Diva sponsors helping out with the Tulsa Tough Divas. The Diva sponsors being Bama Companies, Carol Bush, Healthcare Private Bank, Interior Logistics, Marissa and Johannes Duma, Phillips 66, Rich Family, Roca Bar and Asian Flavors, Tailwind Inspection, and Tito's Handmade Vodka. So it's going to be a preem lap. We're going to ring the bell. It's going to be a preem lap. $100 in cash, $100 in cash, $100 in cash. It is a preem lap, preem lap, preem lap. As they will roll on through, $100 in cash, $100 in cash. I believe that'll be $755 possibly. Could be Marcus Mendoza. Actually, $753. So that's Brian Lemire with Off Camber Racing out of the 405 out of the Oklahoma City area, west side of the state. As he is in the lead, open up a little bit of a gap there. Second place will be Doc Chris Siemens. Actually, it's about third wheel, Doc Chris Siemens with Team Topeka. As they're getting ready to make that right-hand turn, they head north on Main Street, heading up towards the iconic Canes Ballroom, Sound Pony Hill. It's been a couple years since Jeremy Powers has been up there DJing on Sunday night, the former U.S. Cyclocross National Champion, but he would come do a little summertime training, do a little crit racing, just so he'd be there for the DJ party on Sunday night at Sound Pony Hill. But right now we look on the Jumbotron and we will see those racers, the diminished peloton. We said 100 racers on the initial start list. Probably not 100 racers that started here on our guinea pig group, the wet race course, as it starts to dry out a little bit. Temperature's much cooler than in previous editions here on a Saturday morning. But we have a $100 preem. So next time you see him come through, you're wondering, hey man, Travis, why did we ring that bell? The preem lap. So it's the race within the race. Right now, $100 cash preem. As we look onto the Jumbotron, you'll see the peloton making their way down the hill. So the Lexus from Don Thornton Automotive will make that left-hand turn. You'll have the lead moto, and then here will be our peloton. A couple racers off the front, keeping it rubber side down. So we'll try to see the number of those 2 racers off the front, trying to stay up to win the $100. Coming out of the slipstream will be the racer with the white jersey. Don't see the number just yet. He's trying to sprint the line to take the $100, and he will. That will be last year's winner, Paul Hesselgrave, taking the $100. Unicorn Sci-Fi Racing out of Colorado. Paul Hesselgrave, last year's Masters Men champion, taking the $100 preem, our first preem of day number 2, courtesy of Bicycles of Tulsa. So now 8 laps to go, 8 to go, 8 to go, 8 to go, and guess what? We add another preem. When will we do it? Well, we don't want to leave it too late, but we don't want to do it right away. We'll let the racers, especially Hesselgrave, get his heart rate back down a little bit before we toss in the bell again, coming up in a couple laps. So once again, injecting some pace, injecting some excitement in the middle of the race here, especially with these shortened times we're going to have here today with the weather delay. So normally these races that may be, this is originally going to be a 40-minute race. We're doing 25 minutes, 25 to 30, so less time, but still the same amount of preem. So much more excitement here. We're packing it in as we are under 8 to go. So Hesselgrave went off the front to win that $100 preem. Now lets himself get back into the fold here. Let's say it's about 30 racers maybe. We said the start line probably wasn't the full 100 on the registration. We're definitely not 100 still out in the course. Looking there, Hesselgrave kind of swings off to the left side now, bring his way back over. You'll see some of the local guys in there. You'll find Todd Swain with Sintier sitting there about fifth wheel or so. But they're spread out there across the race course, so they make their way down the hill. Not quite as white knuckle of a descent as in previous editions, as we're going to let the tarmac dry out a little bit, but as the day goes on and the temperature rises, you'll definitely see more attacks and more aggressive lines navigating that downhill and that left-hand turn, the final turn. So 7 to go, 7 to go, 7 to go. Racer coming out of the state wheel pit. Still have free laps here. Free laps, so that's where we'll see 7:48. Had some type of mechanical. That's Charlie Houston with McKinney Velo out of Texas, making its way onto the backside of the peloton, as they will make their way onto turn number 2, right in front of Griffin Communication, the CBS affiliate here, KOTV. Possibly 591. We shall see. Trying to get that exact number. And that exactly is who it is. James Lee, Vivis Racing out of Texas, poking his nose to the front of this peloton for the first time here today with 7 to go, so under 7 to go. So at the backside of the course, you see Steve, our race head referee. He's given 1 to go, 1 to go, 1 to go on the backside. So what we're doing is we're cleaning up the course here on the backside. So you've had this huge split. Right now, a group of about 10 or 15 or so is kind of scattered out here on the backside of our peloton. They're probably about a third to maybe a half a lap down on our main group of about 30 racers up at the front. So right now, we'll give them the 1 to go, 1 to go. They won't get the bell, but it's the final lap for them just to clean up the course. I want to make sure that as you get towards the business end of this one, you do not have any type of overtaking of slower racers there that may cause chaos, especially on a little bit of a wet course here, and especially if you're doing that downhill on the final couple laps and making that turn past the Tulsa Theater. So once again, looking at the racers up here on the Jumbotron, not sure if that's Hesselgrave again, but it could be your winner from last year, Hesselgrave. What he likes to do on that downhill is he navigates all the way off. If you're looking at the Jumbotron, it'll be on the right side. Kenny Stringfellow always looking at the Jumbotron. On the right side of the Jumbotron, but the left side of that downhill, just to kind of take a survey, a lay of the land, kind of figure out how it's going here. But 6 to go, 6 to go, 6 to go. And Hesselgrave up out of the saddle. He's going to put some acceleration into this. Makes Todd Swain with Sintier having to do a little bit of an attack, and I believe that will be Snopko. That's exactly who it is, 762. Matthew Snopko, Tulsa Wheelman, another one of our local heroes. He's been on the top of a podium here before, racing at the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. So right now, Hesselgrave, Swain, Snopko. Swain and Snopko leading that reduced peloton of about, let's say maybe not even 20 now, as they make their way on the backside of the Guthrie Green. So they have navigated that, and now they start to go up the hill. You know, everybody talks about Crybaby Hill. It's very iconic. As we finish up the backside of the course, this is these gentlemen here running across the finish line. We will score them as we'll get them off the course here for the final 6, let's just call it 5.5 laps. But that being said, looking up at the hill, it's not that just leg breaker and lung buster you have on Sunday over at the McElroy River Parks Criterium at Crybaby Hill. So we're going to do a preem here. When they're going to roll through, it'll be 5 to go. So we'll make sure we get this preem before the business end, before we give the final couple free laps here when we get to 4 to go. All right, here it comes. It's going to be 5 to go. We're going to ring the bell. It's going to be a preem lap. $100 in cash. $100 in cash. We got our second and final preem lap, preem lap, preem lap. $100 in cash. $100 in cash. Moving his way to the front for the first time will be bib number 756. That is Manuel Montañez out of Florida at the front here, but that's not where he wants to be right now. He wants to be at the front next lap when they roll through, and we'll show them 4 to go to try to win that $100 cash preem. So Montañez, he'll get folded back into the group here. Once again, reduced peloton. Couple wide here. It is a preem lap, so injecting a little pace into it. But next time we come through, we're going to hand $100 cash to the first racer that is rolling on through, and we'll show them 4 to go. Getting to the business end, as we said, 4 to go, 4 to go, 4 to go. As we clean up the backside of the course. Once again, all the great sponsors making this possible. We talk about all the different groups. The Fondos, sponsored by Aon. There's a little delayed start here to our Fondos today. No Century ride for the Fondo. Everybody's going to be riding the Medio. Had to cancel that ace. But once again, the great sponsors. You look through, we'll be talking about Bicycle Tulsa, Smith Farm and Garden, all of these great preem sponsors. And right now, it's $100 in cash. We're going to try to figure out who we're going to hand it off to. So they've come back together here. That little gap has definitely got gathered back in as we watch them make their way down. Looks like Sound Pony trying to move up on the inside along the barriers. That's about 6 wheels or so. But that's going to be last year's winner and the first preem winner, Hesselgrave. He'll come first wheel off the hill. Coming down, makes that left-hand turn, kind of navigates over, trying to slip into a slipstream. Looks like he's going to try to save some watts and pop it late. And coming to the line, I don't think he got it. Tried to play a little bit there, did Hesselgrave, but 582 looks to unofficially have taken it. Clay Hobson. 582, Clay Hobson takes $100. So Hesselgrave, your champion from 2022 in this race and winning the first preem, tried to play a little bit. He came off early, way away from the line for the sprint. Then he snuck back in behind Hobson, tried to save some watts and set in the slipstream, and maybe gave it just a little too late of an attack as he came out from behind the wheel of Hobson and was unable to take it at the line. So Hobson wins the second and final $100 premier in our men's Masters B. Half an inch to an inch. That was the gap there. Hobson taking it over Hesselgrave. So second preem done and dusted here. So we're now just down to racing. Enough in-race racing. Now it's just going to be podium and payout glory here. Our men's Masters B, 40-plus, category 3 and 4. It's supposed to be a 40-minute race. We're doing 25 here in the range-shortened day number 2 here at the 2023 edition. But the payout will pay out 7, 3, and 3. So 13 payouts will happen in this. $600 of prize money that we'll be splitting up. So entry fee to this race was $55. So if you're Hobson and Hesselgrave, you already more than made up your registration fee with those $100 preems. Now everybody else try to navigate it with 4 to go. Actually 3 to go now. We're going to go 3 to go, 3 to go, 3 to go. 3 laps to go. The opening wave of the day, our guinea pigs on the wet race course. It's starting to dry out here. 3 to go, 3 to go, 3 to go. Hobson still at the front. Hesselgrave as well. Trying to catch a number on the third wheel. First time we will see our NTX racer up towards the front at 7:55. First time we will call the name of Marcus Mendoza, Trinity Cycling out of Texas. And here you go, Hobson, Mendoza, and Hesselgrave. Hesselgrave, the 2022 champion and winner of the first $100 preem. He's got 2 willing participants and a little bit of a break here with under 3 to go. They'll navigate their way on the north side of Guthrie Green. About to make that right-hand turn. We're going to send them up the hill. Sound Pony Hill towards the iconic Canes Ballroom. I tell you what, starting to slow down a little bit. Thought maybe they were going to try to work together. Mendoza, Hobson, and Hesselgrave. Looking back, Doc, Chris Siemens with Team Topeka will have to take up the mantle on that chase group. Todd Swain with Sintier sitting right behind him. And there's Doc Siemens putting the head down, hands on top of the hoods on the uphill there. Hesselgrave slowing down a little bit. Maybe have burnt some of those matches there on those 2 preem sprints. And there's Doc Siemens. He'll overtake Hesselgrave as now we're going to show them. It'll be the penultimate lap coming up. We'll show them 2 to go next time through. Siemens is coming on up to the front. Now Mendoza slowing up a little bit, not wanting to lead at the front. So it will be Hobson there with Siemens on his wheel there. 1, 2, and 3 with Mendoza in third, but Hesselgrave, last year's champion, hanging around there in fourth wheel. but kind of in a no man's land there between those three racers and the diminished peloton. So they'll make that turn. We'll have the Lexus, Don Thornton Automotive Group. Our pace car will roll on through, the first of many Don Thornton Automotive vehicles that you will see all day long. All weekend long is it's 2 to go, 2 to go, 2 to go, 2 to go. 2 laps to go. Doc Siemens up towards the front. Mendoza right there with him. Hobson, Hesselgrave now coming out. Looks like that will be a Tulsa wheelman, Kyle Freeman. First time we've called Freeman's name, setting up about 4th or 5th wheel. So under 2 to go, they'll make their way over next to Griffin Communication. They'll take that right-hand turn eventually, coming on up. Actually, left-hand turn in front of Griffin. And then they'll make that right-hand turn. So under 2 to go. Looking back, a little bit of that gap forming, but now they're starting to bring it back. So once again, a couple little moves where you thought maybe the brake will sneak away, but no, you see the heads on the swivel. They're looking over the left and the right shoulders. They're looking over there onto the 6 o'clock there, and so they're all going to come back together. Tulsa wheelman, they move towards the front. I don't believe that is Snopko or Freeman, maybe a third wheelman we have not called today. All right, they all come back together there. Mendoza sitting there, and we got a new racer. We got 767, who's moved his way up to the front for the first time. Thank you. 767 is Jeremy Wilson, Texas Roadhouse Cycling. He's going to be at the lead there as they make their way down the hill. This is the second to last time they'll make their way down the hill. We'll be ringing that bell. It will be 1 to go, 1 to go, 1 to go. And I tell you what, you look at the Jumbotron, it's just a little coffee ride. They're just taking it easy. They have did a cessation of hostilities at an interesting time here late in this race as they all come back together. We're going to ring that bell for them. It is the final lap coming up. Men's Masters B, the truncated. They were going to race 40 minutes, now racing 25, and now it's going to come to the final 1.3 kilometers around the Tulsa Arts District. And here they go. 1 to go, 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 1 to go. New name and face at the front, 430. Don't even have him on my start list, so we can't even recognize him as number 430 with the line up the front. And we do have the racers into the wall as they hit the barriers there on the right side. So what is already a reduced peloton is even more reduced here. Couple wheelmen on the ground in the aquamarine and the orange kits. As you look at the Jumbotron, just went too far to the right. Caught the barrier there, hit the FC Tulsa Soccer Club paneling there, and they went down. So once again, on a chaotic final lap, it got even more chaotic. Looking back, once again, we don't have the name of number 430, but he's still at the front as they make their way up the hill towards Sound Pony. Looking in, a lot of new names. Possibly Adolfo Cordoba, number 430. So now they've gone up the hill. They're making that left-hand turn on the backside of the OK Pop Museum, and they're going to hit it. So let's say still probably about 15 to 20. So maybe that original peloton was still a little bit larger than we thought this late in the game. But right now, it's the final time. They'll make their way down the hill, get to the barriers. If you're at home, get off the couch. Cheer them on. They can hear you through the World Wide Web. You know it. Come to the line. Let them know how much you appreciate how hard they're working as we're going to have an attack here. That may be McKinney Velo coming on the inside there. Going to make their way a final turn. Here they come, leading them around. Todd Twain, Centiro was setting the second wheel. That's Anak Garza. Shama Cycles out of Texas. Try to make his way to the front. Here's the sprint up out of the saddle. They're going to come to line. Hard charge on the outside. Taking it at the line will be 7:25. A little bit of tail gunning. Elijah Baker, Team 6 Project. Last year, second place. This year, first place in our men's Masters 40 Plus. Category B, the 3s and 4s. Elijah Baker, new team, but same podium. Just taking a step up from the second to the first. Winning our first race of day 2 here at the 2023 edition of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. Tail gun in there from Elijah Baker. I tried to remember what he did last year. It seemed like him and Hesselgrave were more off the front, not really not really hanging out in the back, and we did not call Baker's name, other than at the very start, talking about last year's podium. This is the first time we called his name, and what a time to call it as he takes the win here on day number 2 of the 2023 edition of the St. Francis Tussle Tough. Hashtag send it. So a reminder, if you're racing all day long, if you're on the podium, don't go hug your kids. I know you want to do that. Don't go give your wife a kiss. Don't go do that. Hang out close. Come see Amy. We're going to make sure we take care of the podiums fast because we have a trunk